One, this is Carla Jenkins, and welcome to an all new episode of Adventures in Workforce Development. So, this is part 9 where you're leveraging your competitive advantage. And I wanted to do this series because I've done workforce development at the government level before, and I want to use this as a series to help people and better educate them about using, government training programs, whether it's the local government, which is the county or your city, state, or the federal, so that you can have a better understanding of what workforce development is. I know a lot of times when people come into this, they really don't know what to expect, and I'm using this series to make sure that people understand it. So, this episode is about leveraging your competitive advantage. So, the definition of competitive advantage is something that you do better than everyone else, and everyone has a competitive advantage. No matter how average you may think you are or normal you think you do something that no one else does better than you do. And you need to market that because that's what workforce development is all about. It's built into the word, develop the workforce, develop the worker. So I wanted to use this also, not just uh, talking about leveraging your competitive advantage, but I'm going to apply some examples from my workforce development experience. So, the 3 steps for effectively promoting your competitive advantage: research your industry. Regardless of where you're at, you can research your industry. As I mentioned, I'm a native Ohioan, and they have a thing called the Ohio Labor Market Information. You can also go to the Department of Labor at dol.gov, or just type in U.S. Department of Labor, and you can find the federal level, and then they probably will also have the state references. But you can go to your state, and some cities, like large cities, would have, county or city labor market information. So you can see what the current snapshot of your industry is, and they also have projections. So in the previous video, which I'm going to link, I did O.net, which is the Federal Department of Labor's databases for job categories. Now, the federal government calls it occupational classifications, but the layman's term is job categories. And there's certain um, numbers, codes that go along with them so that when you do apply for training or you look for a specific position or a specific category, it will correspond to federal level and most likely the state and the city because they're all using the same Department of Labor. But that's Ohio, for me, Ohio Labor Market Information is where you would go. Then they have it broken down by county, and you can look in your immediate area, which is your city or your county, as well as the state, for what your current snapshot is and your projection is. And usually the projection is 10 years, and it gives you a pretty good analysis of what your industry is. It growing, or is it dying, or is it plateauing? And those statistics will let you have a realistic assessment of where you're currently at. In business analysis, they have 2 states, as is and to be. So as is the current, to be is projected. And you, in the beginning of your competitive advantage, you want to know exactly what you're dealing with, just a realistic viewpoint, so that you can build your foundation on solid ground. In this phase, I would also create baselines, because baselines is what currently is out there. Your performance when you start doing the work, that's what's going to be to be or in the future. You're going to compare it against the baseline that you're creating right now. So, for instance, say that I want to be a computer programmer, and they say that computer programming is on the uptick. It's on increase, double digit increases, and they have more jobs than they have people. Well, that would be a good thing. So a baseline for a computer programmer right now would be just looking at the industry, saying that there's a lot of growth, and uh, maybe you want to get certification in that, or you want to get an apprenticeship because they have apprenticeships available also. So you want to get a job, or you want to get certification that will land to a job in your industry and you research computer programming and it's off the charts. And so, you did your gap analysis. Your gap analysis is in order to get in there, you need to get the certification or get the experience in order to get the job. So the number one is reviewing and researching your industry. Number two is leveraging your transferable skills. So there's certain skills that you have, whether or not they can be soft skills such as communication and personal skills, or hard skills such as being able to code. So we're going to stick with computer programming. If you're able to code in, Python, SQL, and Jira, and Confluence. So those are four languages that you know how to code in. Those are hard skills. They have a lot of transferable skills. You can apply those to other industries within computer programming as well as outside of computer programming. Has a lot of portability, meaning portable means you can carry it from industry to industry. But what I would recommend is when you do a skills analysis of yourself or skills assessment, compare your current skills, what you put out there, with what the industry has, and then look at overlapping industries, and that's how you would see whether or not you would determine whether or not your transferable skills are portable to other areas. And when you look at areas that aren't 100%, but some of them overlap, that makes you a more viable candidate, and you want to cast a very wide net because you don't know where you may end up. If you only specifically say, I have to do this, and that you either don't have the skills, don't have the certification, or those jobs aren't available, then you're missing out on the opportunity of working in your field because it's too narrow. Which leads to my third one of avoid myopia. So myopia is being very narrow. And when you're dealing with your competitive advantage, you don't know how well your competitive advantage will travel or play out in other industries. I feel, and it's not just, it's just human nature that you only think one way. You have very siloed, tunnel vision mentality of it's only going to work one way when you don't know that the transferable skills you have or the competitive advantage you have can be applicable in other industries. So don't be myopic. Get out there and look at other areas and other ways that you can leverage your competitive advantage and other skills. Remember, you want to be very sought after, and being sought after is more than just one area, one specific, very narrow job category or field. If you leverage your competitive advantage to more than just one field, you're more valuable. Look at it from that. The more competitive advantage you can spread across different industries, the more value you are. And the more value you show, the more people want to pay you. So I'm going to do the recap for the 3 ways of leveraging your competitive advantage. Number 1, leveraging and learning more and researching your industry. Number 2 is to look at the transferable skills you currently have and see how they overlap in other industries. And number 3, don't be myopic and have a very narrow view of what you think the outcome should be. So this is Carla R. Jenkins, certified project management professional, certified Scrum Master and IDOL with 13 years problem solving experience in project management, big data, and IT service management. You can get in touch with me on my LinkedIn, so check that out. LinkedIn.com/IN/Carla R. Jenkins. Also, since I mentioned competitive advantage, I am also a 2-time Amazon bestselling author, and one of my books, which has competitive advantage, is Expand Your Personal Brand. I'll drop the link to the book in the description, but it gives you 20 business tips to improve your personal brand and branding success. You should get it because it will really help you with workforce development. So this concludes this part 8 of Adventures in Workforce Development, leveraging your competitive advantage, and I'll see you in the next part of Adventures in Workforce Development. Goodbye.